Okay, so we're back here. So let's take a moment to walk through some problems. So we'll have 9.1 on page 391 in the new in the fourth edition of the textbook. So 9.1 is saying that if we have the null hypothesis and we're looking at the alternative hypothesis. So parts A and B is the statement of null hypothesis or an alternative hypothesis. So if we look at question A, part A, it says, in Canada, the proportion of adults who favor legalized gambling equals 0.5. So it's saying that P is equal to 0.5 in Canada. So what do you guys think about this? Like, what would this be? So saying, like, because it's a default value and it's saying it's like a 50-50, it's not really making hard statements, right? We would say that this is the null hypothesis. There is no assertion in that statement. It's just saying this is what it is. It's not saying it's greater than or less than a particular value. A null hypothesis thing is going to be different. So because it'll make a value statement. If we look at B, it says the proportion of all Canadian college students who are regular smokers is less than 0.24. The value it was 10 years ago. So what this is saying is that this P is going to equal less than 0.24. So here, this is an alternative hypothesis because we have a less than statement. So it's making an assertion that something is different. It proposes something else. So that part's good. And then if we move to part C, let's see, for part C, it's asking introducing notation parameters, state the hypotheses in parts A and B in terms of parameter values. So the way that we would answer this one. So if we were looking at the null, right, for part A, we would say this. So the null, this is what we're saying is equals to, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Go away. So we would say that this proportion is equal to 0.5. A null hypothesis, then, is that we would say that this does not equal 0.5. And for part B, we would say the null, in this case, is equal to 0.24. And the alternative hypothesis is that P, we're saying it's making a directional statement that's less than 0.24. So hopefully a little more straightforward, a little more clear in the head about what it is. So let's go to 9.3. On page 391. So 391 says for a new pesticide, the EPA has to bear the burden of proof to show that it is harmful to the environment, or should the producer of the pesticide have to show that it is not harmful to the environment. The pesticide is considered harmful when its toxicity level exceeds a certain threshold, and not harmful if its toxicity level is below the threshold. Consider the statements, the mean toxicity levels equals the threshold. So EPA, so we have statement 1 is saying that that the average toxic equals T, a threshold. We have statement 2, which is the average toxicity is greater than T, the threshold. And then we also have 3, which is the average toxicity is below T, the threshold, right? So that's more or less is what we're saying. So what the question is now asking us is part A, which of the statements should be the null and which alternative hypothesis when the burden of proof is on the EPA to show the new pesticide is harmful. So the null is going to be what exactly, right? So we would say here that the null is going to be the average toxicity equals T threshold. And then, since the EPA is trying to show or demonstrate a harm, that's their burden of proof, they are probably going to say that the average toxicity is greater than the threshold, right? Because that's what they're trying to figure out. So that's what we're trying to do, right? Yeah. So if it is, let's see, what would it be the other way around? So which of these statements should be the null? In which the alternative hypothesis when the burden of proof is on the producer, so the person making the chemical, to show that the new pesticide is not harmful. So if we look at part B, if I'm a producer of a chemical, I would probably again say that the null to show the new pesticide is not harmful. So, I mean, if I am this producer, right, it would probably be, there might be the null that this exceeds the toxicity. So maybe that's what the null would be. And maybe there could be multiple alternative hypotheses if you're the producer, which could be X bar toxicity either equals threshold, right? So that could be another way of putting it. So we put a little subscript 1, or the second one could be toxicity is below the threshold, right? So that was a different way that you can set up that particular problem. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go to 9.9. So if we think about the previous videos and what's going on here, right? So it's asking us to look at P levels, right? Normally 0.05 is the magic number for statistical significance. And so part A is asking us, is 0.38 significant? And our answer would be no. The alternative hypothesis, we can't say it's that much different. And for part B, if we look at 0.001 for a p-value, we would say that there is quite a bit of evidence showing a difference between the null and alternative hypotheses. So that's how we would kind of approach those. So kind of easy, basic stuff, but hopefully it kind of starts jogging your mind and thinking about how to think in this kind of